Why, I wonder why they give him him?
They signed up for the
They
whole
probably
county.
combined a lot of
Washing machines
They
use
did.
precincts.
They said, well, we can't put you anywhere in Ward 1
Oh, that's right.
because since you're on the ballot, even though there's no equivalent,
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
there were very few openings.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Ravenna City Council meeting for November 3rd to order. The first item on the agenda is a moment of meditation and silence. You'd all join me with reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Gregor, could you call the roll?
Mr. Kelty?
Here.
Ms. West? Here. Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Here.
Mr. Maravich?
Here.
Ms. Michael?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
Okay, everyone's here tonight. The next item is delegations from the public. Is there anyone here who would like to address council tonight? Looks like someone beat you to it. If you could just recite your name for the record.
No.
No? Okay.
We know,
We know who you
We've
are.
been through that already, haven't we? First of all, now that we're officially into the holiday season, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and we know what comes after that, and then comes after that. So happy Thanksgiving to you all. And so number two is make sure that everybody, if you haven't already, make sure you vote tomorrow. People died for that right, so please vote. Really what I'm asking here for is after the events of last weekend in Bath with the supposed Airbnb, which they've outlawed there, it still happened. I'd like to know where we stand in our situation here, because every time I ask one group or the other, they're doing this. Oh, it's the planning commission's deal. And they're saying it's up to council. So I'd just like to know where we stand on it and where we're gonna go with it.
I did talk actually with Tammy earlier about this today. We have the list of all the short-term rentals, and I plan on putting in my agenda for November.
Very good. Just wondering, because every time I ask somebody, it's
Nope.
like,
We're certainly going to have a discussion.
and you can see what can go wrong and does go wrong a lot of
Absolutely.
times in there. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Please come up. If you're willing to say your name, that would be helpful.
So my name is Christine Untrauer, and I'm with the Veterans Grave Marker Project. And I realized I never came to council and told you what we're doing. So what we're doing is we're working in local cemeteries, we're finding unmarked veterans' graves, and then when we find them, we do the paperwork to get their VA markers ordered. Once they come in, we pay for the installation of those. I have been working very closely with Mark Gabriel, and I've worked with the township, and it's been going over very well. Right now, last week, they put in, I believe, 17 markers, veterans markers in Maple Grove. Out of that 17, 5 of them were totally unmarked. So those people that had been here in the ground since the Civil War finally have their graves marked. But I thought I should come in and let you guys know what I'm doing. If you have any calls, please refer them to me. But this project is going to take a long time. A lot of people say, "Oh, are you done yet?" No, it's going to take a long time. There's a law that's in effect right now that if a veteran died before November 30th of 1990, they're buried in a cemetery like Maple Grove. They have their own marker. They're not entitled to a military marker. So I'm currently working with Heidi Workman. The legislation's getting written up to go to the state and then on to national, but we really want to change this. So I'm very honored to be here today to talk to you and let you know what we're doing. And if you have any questions of me, please reach out. And I live in town, so I'm around all the time, but I spend way more time in the cemetery than most people do. So thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Oh.
Any questions?
Chris, when you say that you're finding unmarked graves, is it a completely unmarked grave, or is it just not marked that they were a veteran?
Both.
Both.
Yes, in Potter's Field, if you're familiar with the cemetery, we have a Potter's Field where there's 136 people buried. 124 of them, we know who they are. The other ones, we have no idea, but they just dug a hole and buried them. They may have been in a burlap sack or wrapped in a sheet, we don't know. A lot of them weren't in caskets. But in that section, we found 4 veterans, 1 Civil War that is now marked, and his name is McGlynn, and he was the hardest one. It started in February, and it took until this month to get it taken care of. So it's been a lot of work. There was another gentleman from World War I. In Section B, we put in 2 Civil War that were totally unmarked, and it's no one's fault. And I want you to understand, this is nobody's fault. This just happened, you know, and the one, what started this was Willie Dennis, and he's the one who died in Vietnam after being there for 1 month. And they brought his body back here, and he died in '68. And last year we were able to get him a marker, and it made me think, well, man, if there's one, there's many. And we're finding that out. So this project is near and dear. I need volunteers. I'm going to be meeting with the Historical Society in January. But if you know any groups, high school groups, because those guys are so good with their phones that I can get them to walk cemeteries in the county, we can get this moving faster. But once the cemetery is mapped out and find a grave, then I need the list from the cemetery. Then you compare that list to what's actually marked, and that's how you find the unmarked.
That's incredible that you do all of that. Do you want to share with council what you have?
Sure. So we do everything on donations. So what we did is we've gotten the flags from the cemetery that are there, and then they come off after Veterans Day, and they're destroyed. So we have taken these flags and we remove each one from the stick, and they're washed and they're ironed and they're folded, and then a little brass ring is sewn onto them as to not damage the flag. If you remove the ring, that flag is still totally intact. We put an ornament holder on it. There's a card in with it that tells you that this is a flag that flew over a veteran's grave. And this is part of our fundraising because, you know, we don't get any federal funding, no state funding. We do this all ourselves. So these are a $5 donation, and it's just something so simple. And when you tell a veteran that what these are, it just touches their hearts. And anyone who, I mean, how many of you have a veteran in your family? How many of you know a veteran? And that's where this is important, because we're going to make sure that they're not going to be in unmarked graves anymore. We owe them this. We owe them a debt of gratitude, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So thank you.
Thank you.
I want to remind everyone, when there are like awards, when, you know, a lot of like the Chamber has awards, Celebrate Portage has awards. Christine lives in Ravenna, and of course she's not, asking for any of this, but remember when it's time to look to nominate organizations, we have a lot of people right here that are doing amazing things like Christine, thank you, to recognize. So I just want to put that out there.
Thank you so much. Thank you for letting me be here tonight.
Thank you. Any other people here tonight who want to speak to council? Okay, not seeing anybody, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. The next item is approval of the agenda. I'd like to take ordinance number 2025-111 out of the consent agenda and put it under first readings. Anybody else wish to take anything out of the consent agenda? Can we get a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I just have a comment pertaining to 2025-109.
Yes.
And I'll just say a new water line from Lake Avenue to the tracks will need to be replaced because the existing one is in very bad condition.
Right. And I think the ordinance is moving money
Yes, it is.
from, I think what was in the water tank fund? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you for pointing that out. But you want to
Yes.
leave it in the consent agenda?
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine with me.
Any other comments or Okay. Then, before we get to the consent agenda, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. I would just make one small note. When we receive communications, when the communications come into the clerk, we post them as part of our agenda. We don't filter them out. We just post them as they get received. So if anybody has any questions about what's in the consent agenda concerning communications, that's why it's there. Okay, then can I get, or let me just recite the motion. Is there a motion to dispense with the requirements of the city charter and the revised code of Ohio with reference to reading on 3 different days and adopting emergency clauses and approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Get a roll call for that.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfy?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, the consent agenda has been approved. The next item on our agenda is our monthly visit from a city official. Tonight, we're here to listen to a report from our new Parks and Rec Director, Mr. Chris Bundy. So if you wouldn't mind coming up to the microphone and let us know what's going on with Parks and Recs.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. It's a quick background because I haven't met hardly any of you. Some of you I have. I do appreciate you guys stopping out and meeting me over the last couple months, if you have stopped out. So yeah, my name is Chris Bundy. I just recently came from the city of Canal Fulton. I'm very grateful to be here, part of the city of Ravenna. It's a great city, and like I said, I'm very happy to be here. I've been married for 16 years, coming up in January. I have 4 kids. My oldest is 13, youngest being 5 years old. So like I said, we love the area. My kids are super excited to start participating in a lot of the events that we have going on here. So with that being said, I do want to come up, I just want to bring up a few, just some updates that I've seen over the last few months. So first off, West Main School held its Arbor Day tree planting on October 21st and October 22nd, where they were able to plant 2 trees. One was a red maple, and one was a flowering poplar. So I do want to thank Tim Content and Jim Jenkins for their help getting that organized and working with the schools, and also the school itself for coming out and planting that and being able to see the benefits of what trees can do to our community. So that was great. Quick, there's some updates. The restrooms that have been winterized at both City Park and as well as Chestnut Park. And then this last week, we held our park board meeting where we actually went out at Sunbow to kind of go over ideas, some plans for the future, and different needs as well. Some of the things that we are working towards out there currently is we do want to get some cameras installed to oversee different parts of the property that, especially when we're not out there, to be able to see what's kind of going on, who's coming and going. So we do think that's a necessary step moving forward. Obviously, right now, we are just looking to winterize the property, trying to get it where we can just kind of put it away for now and then kind of step back into it this spring and start moving forward. So we are looking at doing some different programming out there for 2026. Some of the things that we are looking right now at doing is we would like to move our Easter egg hunt out there. We think with the property itself and how big it is, makes a lot of sense to be able to utilize that property for that. Also with Halloween, we want to move our downtown, what we have been doing at City Park, move that out there as well, do some cool things with that, maybe some hay rides and some other activities as well, showcase some of the stuff that we are doing in the recreation department. We can also utilize that during the Halloween event, try to get more people interested in some of the stuff that we are doing. So we are excited about that. We're also looking to move some of our archery classes out there permanently, which have been pretty successful over the last few years. So like I said, a lot of cool things we're trying to do right away, try to get people out to that property to utilize and see what a great move it was by the city moving forward with that. And then trying to talk about some of our current programs we just kind of wrapped up. So one thing that I quickly brought in here after I got started was a class I've done in a lot of different communities, was our intro to pickleball class. Since we do have some new pickleball courts here at City Park, we took advantage of that and we ran 2 clinics. We were able to bring out 12 registrants pretty quickly off of that, got them excited about pickleball, even though it's going into the winter months. So we're excited to kind of pick that back up going into the spring, start to utilize those pickleball courts more, as well as we want to start doing some, maybe run some more clinics, as well as maybe some leagues with that as well, which we think will be quite popular. We had archery classes that finished up as well. We had 15 in that, just wrapped up here last few weeks. And then, like I said, those are some more programs that have been quite successful for us. We want to continue those moving to next year. We had our Halloween drive-through this past October 25th. We estimated we had over 400 participants. We had about 200, it was like 249 trick-or-treaters, and the rest of those were parents that were tagging along. So it was a great event. It went really well, super smooth. Like, want to thank all of our vendors who came out to that. Like, they're the ones that really make this event what it is. Amy Michael was one of our vendors for that, so we thank her for being there. So moving on to some of the programs that we currently have going on, we have our youth basketball programs, gymnastics. We have some other programs going on as well. Like this past weekend, we just finished up a bus tour trip, which was a success as well. We had a lot of positive feedback from that. So one thing that we're actually working today as a department is a yearly planning meeting. So one thing I like to do is try to plan out the entire the next year in advance. So today we are working on our 2026 plan, trying to put together all the events and programs that we did this current year, and then put the dates on that for 2026, as well as what are some gaps and needs that maybe we can fill in for next year. So we're still ongoing. It's going to take probably a few more days of planning. There's a lot going on there. Like I said, a lot of new ideas that we want to try to get implemented, try to find new ways to get more people involved in what we have going on. Like I said, there's a lot of cool opportunities. Like I said, there's just a great city, and there's a lot of people here, so we want to try to do as much as we can to get them people interested. So just give a quick update on some grant funding. So as you're all aware, there's the 2 parcels at the Emerald Lake project that we've been trying to get funded through the Ohio Public Works Commission grant application. Myself and Neil Hess sat in on the presentation this past, it was October 28th, up in Burton, Ohio. We went up there and Neil Hess presented to us. I will say he did a fantastic job presenting our project to the board, but I will say the process itself and all the other grants that were in there seeking funding, it's going to be it's going to be a tough process. See if we're going to be able to move forward. Very competitive. So at this point, I'm not sure how well we're going to be graded on that, but we will have I think our results will come out tomorrow. So we are crossing our fingers, hopeful that we can get maybe some funding from it. But if we can't, I was talking with Neil Hess about it, and there's another grant opportunity that we're trying to work towards as well, try to get all that put in as well in case we are not as successful in that, that's through the Land and Water Conservation Fund. So if we find out we're not successful tomorrow, we're going to be hopeful to get all that stuff, all the applications put in, try to move forward if that's something we can move forward with. Also, like I said, kind of jump back. So some of my goals, this is more or less what I wanted to talk about. So coming in here, like some of my initial goals was really to, like I said, I really wanted to take a step back and kind of see where we are as a department and then see what we can do about moving things forward. So one thing I'd like to do is I would like to see for 2026 is an increase in our program offerings. So like I said, one thing we've been trying to do is trying to find areas where maybe we're not quite hitting the community right, or other areas that we can improve on. So like some different niches. One thing that we are looking at, one thing we'd like to do is put in a disc golf course out at Chestnut Hill. So that's something we're at least starting the initial processes on. So if we can get that in, we think that will not only bring more people to our community, which we know people come to our community, what are they going to do afterwards? They're going to stop, hit our restaurants, hit our gas stations, hit our grocery stores. So we can help drive economic development through that as well. But on top of that, we can do some programming with it, getting more kids involved, get more kids outdoors, enjoying what we have. So that's something we're excited about. From the planning meeting today, we came up with one of our program coordinator, our program supervisor, Jake Espina, came up with the idea of a kids drama club. So we're looking at maybe some opportunities there. We'd like to try out, obviously, pickleball. Another thing that kind of came out was some senior games. So we want to try to maybe see what we can do on that for the community. And then other activities. Well, like I said, we're pretty excited what 2026 has to offer. Like I said, we're still working on a lot of those things. Like I said, one thing I would like to do is, one, increase program offerings, and then two, increase program registrations. So obviously, to increase program registrations, one, you need to do what people are interested in and try to find what people are interested in. And one thing we want to figure out is how can we reach more of the community better. So one thing is obviously through flyers. I feel like currently the process with the schools is we contact the schools, we send them a flyer, they send it home through a digital platform, either through some sort of school app. Not saying that's the wrong way, but I feel like it's hard for us to try to get to the students directly. Like I can tell you, when my kids bring home a flyer and they're excited about it, it's hard for me to tell them, no, I can't, I don't want to sign you up for it, versus like if I get it something through digital platform and I don't share it with my kids. So that's one thing we are trying to work on, is how can we get these flyers directly to the kids. So if we can't get them in through the schools directly, we are working with Raven Packs. That's something we can put them in each pack, and then they can get them to the kids that way as well. So we're trying to find some workarounds to try to get those flyers to the kids directly. Another thing that I would like to do is we're working on is some sort of a year, so like I said, with the yearly planner or planning, I want to put together some sort of a yearly planner, something that we can have like maybe a quad fold or something, to where we can get out to some of our businesses, get it out to the schools, kids, get it in our like at the rec center, to where people can actually open something up and see what we have, not just for January, but also for, that coming December. So I feel like if people can see in a year basis what we have, then they can start planning ahead of time what things that we have to offer, and maybe plan some of their schedules around, or even get excited about what we have, or even sign up earlier on. With that, we've also done Jacob Spina has put together a survey. So he's reached out to over 500 of our past participants to see, put together a survey, try to see what people are interested in, how we can reach them a little better, and try to find different ways to reach the community. So like I said, that was kind of my quick spill of some stuff we've been working on. Pretty excited about being here in Ravenna and some stuff that we can do, and I'm really excited to help find ways to get more of the Ravenna constituents involved in what we have to have going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Questions from council?
Welcome, Chris. We're glad you're here. You've got a real wide background in a number of parks and rec systems. We're really glad you're here. Wanted to encourage you to pursue the disc golf course idea at Chestnut Hills. It's a wonderful spot for one. We've been mowing that area for a couple years now, and just walking around, you can really envision it has great potential there. So really happy for you working on that. I did have a question. Did we have enough participation with our youth boys and girls basketball that we were able to hold the league within Ravenna, or did we have to go outside again this year?
So we did have to go outside again this year, and that's something that I'm still trying to figure out what the reasoning is behind some of that. It feels like even with like our soccer program as well, it feels like everyone who's signing up, we're basically currently just putting together teams, and we're sending them to other cities to play in different leagues, which I know it's what a lot of other communities are doing. My kids, we live in a southeast school district, and the same thing there. We sign our kids up in their program, and they're sending their kids, or the teams that my kids play is the same group that we're sending the teams out through here, which is through Kent. So long-term goal, I would like to try to figure out something we were talking about today in our planning meeting. It's something I'd like to try to figure out, some sort of a way to, even if we still have a travel team, is there any way that we can still try to create some sort of in-home league where, you practice and play at the same location. Parents don't have to travel as far. I think if we can get back to that sort of model, hopefully we can pull more of these kids that are local back into our programs. But like currently, that's kind of the model that we're at. We're sending them.
Chris, I would like to chime in on the idea that you said about the senior challenge.
Oh, yeah.
I love that idea. Also, I'm not, without saying any names, we have some people that are quite excited that they get the senior discount on their water bill. And I think they would be great, chairs for that event. They could probably, be your team captains. for that event. So let me know after the meeting. I'd be happy to, maybe help you with that. I think that would be great. Also, years ago, they used to do a community cup challenge, and I can remember when it was the old hospital when I worked there. They used to participate really in that, and it was a huge thing where a lot of the businesses in town, including city businesses, or like City Hall, they would have like the tug of war with the rope. They had a softball team. I think they had like 3 or 4 challenges where they would all compete against each other. And it really was a good morale thing. And it was a lot of fun to see these different organizations compete against each other and see who won the trophy. And then they'd have a big barbecue at the end. But that was a long time ago. But along with the senior challenge thing, I think that might be another good idea to maybe think about down the road if that's something that you choose to do. But that was a blast from the past.
Yeah, it's funny you actually say that because I actually met with Ryan from the chamber, and we were already brainstorming on maybe bringing that back next year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Good.
I liked that event.
Any other questions or comments? Well, Chris, welcome to the city.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
We are excited to have you. I always give this little recommendation to the heads of departments that come and give us reports. If there's something we can do on council to help make Parks and Recs better, there's something you need that, we can help you with this, supporting what you do, don't be shy and let us know.
Okay, I appreciate that.
It's an open invitation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Yep, thank you.
All right, moving on with the agenda. Next item is report of committees. Next Monday will be our committee night at 6 o'clock, November 10th. The first report is from Utilities, Mr. Moskin.
Excuse me, there'll be nothing for next week.
Okay. Information Systems, Mr. Maravich.
That's to be determined. I'm still working on the Section 208 thing. I'm not sure if I'll have it ready, but if I do, I'll let you guys know, and we'll get that scheduled for that line item.
Okay. Planning, Ms. West.
We will be having a meeting next week.
Committee of the Whole will be Monday, November 17th at 6 o'clock. The next committee is Public Health and Safety. Ms. Michael?
Yes, we will be having a meeting next month. Or, sorry, this month.
Next week? Okay.
Yes.
Streets and Sidewalks, Mr. Harper.
We will be having a meeting as well.
Thank you. Personnel Committee, Dr. Kelly.
No committee meeting.
Community and Economic Development, Ms. Wood.
To be determined.
Okay. And then the cemetery, Mr. Moscom or Ms. West, do you have anything to report from the cemetery board?
Mrs. West will have details on that.
Just a couple things. I guess Andy, the lumberjack, has retired. So they're trying to explore other options for tree services at the cemetery. We're working on, we still didn't get anything for health insurance renewal, so they're hoping this week that gets taken care of. We're also working on the bridge railings still, trying to figure out how much that's gonna cost, what that's gonna look like. I don't know if anyone heard, and I bet Amy has heard about this, because Amy always knows everything that's going on, about the goose with angel wings. Here we go, something new. So there was a goose that has angel wings that was out there, and angel wings, they can't fly. So a woman took her to a rescue. Unfortunately, the mate was not able to be caught when they took that goose. So the mate stands by the pond and honks all night.
That's sad.
So they are trying to catch the mate, just to let you know. They are not just leaving him, they're trying to catch the mate so he can be reunited. That's the big news at the cemetery.
Drama at the cemetery.
We renewed our pond maintenance renewal, and we actually added additional treatment costs to maintain all. At one point, we were only doing maintenance for 2 ponds. Now we're doing all 4 because some of the ponds were looking kind of rough. So we're gonna be doing all 4, as well as exploring options to put fountains in at least one of the ponds. And finally, we had a discussion about the cemetery paving. Mark is gonna see if he can get Dominic from from the city to kind of walk around with him and help rate the roads a little bit to figure out what roads need the most work and which roads don't. We did have a conversation about paving versus chip and seal. Lots of opinions on that. We'll let you know how that pans out.
Okay, thank you for that report. Oh,
I just wanted to add the fact that you've now gotten the contract executed between the cemetery and Maple Grove Cemetery and the Historical Society. And I believe that an actual donation has already been made to it.
That's great.
So it's open for donations to help with the renovation of the chapel.
thank you, Mr. Semino.
Yep.
Okay, our last committee report is from the Parks and Rec Board. Our liaison, Mr. Maravich, do you have anything to report?
I don't think I can add anything our director hasn't shared already, but thank you for coming
Thorough
tonight.
report. Okay, in that case, we will move on in the agenda to first readings of ordinances. We're going to start with 111.
Right. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to negotiate the purchase of property for Osborne Park with NS Railroad and declaring an emergency.
I'm going to suggest, if it's something council's willing to do, we can go into executive session to discuss purchase of property. It might be more appropriate for us to do that right now and then come back and talk about this ordinance. If anyone wants, now, remember, there was a Supreme Court case and we need a special wording for the motion. So is there a motion to enter executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, since the premature disclosure of information regarding the purchase could give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal, private interest is adverse to the general public interest?
So move.
Second.
Before we vote on it, a
Yes.
question. Would it be more advantageous to put this at the end of our meeting rather than go into executive session, then come back for the rest of the meeting? Do we have anything else for executive session at the end? Yeah, so we have another executive session at the end.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about bundling executive sessions on two different topics.
Right.
I think as long as they're in the motion, it's acceptable. However, I don't have a strong opinion about it. How long will we be talking about the first one? Don't know.
Well, I can't guarantee you.
That's the disadvantage of us splitting them into two. So, I mean, having an early one and a late one. But
Well, just so you know, we have talked in the past on multiple issues regarding legal actions. that have been
I'm not saying we
pending.
can't do it, I'm just saying it, want to make sure we keep track of what we're talking about. Well, it's the pleasure of the council. Now, there was a motion and a second, so.
You have to do the vote.
You can vote it down, and then we can vote on moving it. So why don't we do that? But if there are 4 votes to go into an executive session, then we'll do it now.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
No.
Mr. Kelfi?
no.
Ms. West?
No.
Mr. Moskin?
No.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
No.
Okay, the motion fails. Does someone want to make a motion to move this ordinance to later? Where exactly in the agenda would you like to put it? After the mayor's remarks? So that we have, because we already have an executive session scheduled for after the mayor's remarks. So if we bundle them together, that would be the
That would be
appropriate place.
fine.
But let's make a motion to
I'd like
change
to
the
make a
agenda.
motion to move ordinance number 2025-111 to after the mayor's remarks on the agenda.
Second.
Let's get a roll call. Just to make sure.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have to evacuate the room. We'll do this a little bit more efficiently, I suppose. We will potentially talk about this ordinance when we come back from executive session, so keep that in mind. All right, the next item is resolution number 2025-112.
A resolution declaring the necessity for an additional 25/100ths of 1% income tax to provide funds for the purpose of planning and building a new fire station, police station, and city hall in the city of Ravenna, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
This is from the Planning Committee, Ms. West.
And we would like to leave this and move on to a second reading.
Yeah, any questions or concerns about that? All right, in that case, we will move on to ordinances on second reading. The only ordinance there is ordinance number 2025-94.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Archer Energy LLC for the City of Ravenna Natural Gas Aggregation Program for the period of June 2025 through March 2027 and declaring an emergency.
And this is utilities, Mr. Moskin.
Yes, I have some rates from just a few weeks ago. I know they haven't changed a lot pertaining to Energy Choice Ohio of variable and 6-month through 3 years, that if any individual would like to look them up on their own, they're more than welcome to. I just wanted to mention that.
Okay, so was it today that we received? You sent something out, and I believe the new fixed rate is
$5.9.
Good, $5.15 and 9/100ths of a cent.
Yep.
And again, that would be, if we decided to do that, we'd be locked in through March 2027. Mr. Berlish from Buckeye Energy was our broker, suggested that November's bill looked like it will be $3.37.6, plus an extra 45 cents per MCF, totaling 3.826. So it's a pretty big difference, right? The last time we talked about this, I guess the debate is, well, we don't really know how high these things can go, the rate's going to go over the next couple of years, a year and a half. It might be wise to lock in right now. On the other hand, the rates are fairly low through the standard offer. If they don't go too high, or, they vary, so maybe it's a good rate during the winter months, but when summer comes around and the rates drop, maybe it's not such a great rate.
Utilization is likely to drop in the summer as well. Most people
Right.
don't run their furnaces
That's
too much.
true, so the impact is lessened, I get that, that's a good point. As we've mentioned, it's hard to know unless you have a crystal ball that can really fine tune how rates are gonna go over the next year and a half. I question how, what the logic is to picking one over the other. Now, this ordinance would lock us in at the rate that was quoted today until March 2027. So, discussion, what is the desire of council to do?
Well, I'm going to just make a comment.
Sure.
The last gas bill that I received, it was, I should have looked exactly at the penny, but it was, I know it was just a little bit over 2, I know that.
What was a little over 2? The rate?
Yes,
The variable rate.
yes,
It was that low?
It was
Yes.
Oh, I
extremely
didn't know
low.
that.
Yeah,
yes.
Extremely
Yes,
low.
I'm saying,
It should have been 2.891
Oh,
MCF.
okay, so that's closer to 3, but,
Okay, just under, yeah.
yeah, well,
I'm just mentioning.
yeah, no, that's not quite half, the rate they're offering us.
I'm not willing to increase for a fixed rate.
Mr. Kittet, do you know how long we can carry this on? At some point, is Archer just going to say, we're not going to give you a fixed rate?
Well, as far as I know, you can go until March of 2027.
So every
Ask for
month
a
we could
fixed
do
rate.
this?
Because we're already under
That's-
contract for the.
Yeah, we're already under contract for the variable, so.
No, I know, I mean,
We can ask for a fixed rate at any time
okay.
until 2027, March.
We're gonna know a lot about our gas. We're talking about every month.
We do have a resident who wants to comment. Does anybody else from council wish to make a comment before we invite him?
I think that I worry about the older people that don't have, use to technology. But I agree, the rates that are going right now are good. And so I don't want to get locked into a higher rate. So it's kind of like, it's kind of hard. I just worry about the people that depend on a locked-in rate. So how do we make sure that, they're getting protected? And, I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to know what other communities have done, whether there's some aggregation programs already locked in and what their rates are. Feel free to weigh in.
Thanks for letting me speak. In the last week or two, I think Akron, they had their plan, and they were very, very upset that their offer of 4.6 was that high. And here we are at over 5.
Right.
And I guess my question is, how did we get here? How do I, which I signed last week, as one person, one house, get a year's rate for $3.91, guaranteed, and no way to no money to cancel it? When you're giving them negotiation for so many people, and we're getting charged over $1 per unit for it, how did we get here? Akron is still very, very upset about it. I haven't seen what they're going to do about it yet. But how did we get hooked up with the gentleman that makes the negotiation here?
Well, he's been.
I know he's been here a long time.
Yeah. I don't know when that work started or how that was arranged. Now, I think the reason we're here is because we had a contract, and I think it was around $3.90 or so.
And it was canceled.
And they bailed on us.
No.
And so we went with a variable rate with this other company. Council approved that decision, but it was a variable rate with the option of going to a fixed rate, and that's how we end up here. Now, the fixed rate is very high.
There's no guarantee that the one that canceled, if they would have stayed, wouldn't be at 5 also now. Seems like we're
Well, we
we've
were
got a
locked
target
in.
on our back to hey, here's 2,000 people here, and we can charge them $5 per unit. I know Tim is shaking his head yes, and I know Cheryl is, and I think pretty much everybody in here has to look at that and go, something's wrong here. Hey, I don't want to tell everybody we should go month to month, because it gets down to 20 below zero for all of January. Guess what? The rates are going to go up.
Yeah. We
know that. But how can we really tie somebody up for 3 years at over 5 and you don't know if it's going to come down? Again, we should be trying to educate the people in Ravenna to do their own negotiations with these companies. It wasn't real hard. I signed. Everybody says it's hard to get out of the aggregation. Is that true?
No, it's hard to get back in.
Get back in. Okay. But I went in there and filled out 4 lines, pressed that, and it come back within 3 minutes that I was signed up. And 2 days later, I got the card in the mail saying you signed at $3.91. So it isn't a big deal to do that. And so I just don't get how, if we got somebody negotiating for us, what are they doing for us?
Well, see, in my opinion, we did it to ourselves, because when we signed with Archer, we said, okay, we can open it up to a fixed rate, but how do we have any negotiating power? We're at the whim of whatever they're willing to offer us.
And looking back, I'm not really blaming anybody here.
No.
Because at the beginning, I think it was a good deal, but things changed and I don't think we stayed on top of it, or anybody did. Akron's in the same situation.
Yeah.
It was a great deal. I can remember some of those rates were negotiated lower back in the day. They're not anymore, obviously. So, not blaming anybody here or in the last probably 8-10 years anyway. But now it's time to look at this and not forget about this after whatever decision you make here, maybe in the next year, to stay on top of this and see if we can get somebody else to negotiate. I just don't understand why one person can walk up and get that good of a rate, and we as a group gets a terrible rate. Right? So, thanks.
Cliff, can you tell us who you signed with?
Ohio Gas and Electric, and they're out of Dallas, Texas. They also have the electric plan, and so things are changing. A week or so before that, they had 3 different terms. You could go, well, 4, I think 4. You could go by the month. You could go 6 months, which right now, if you signed up, it'd get you through until it warmed up. And it was lower, 340, 350, something like that. Then there was this one for a year at 391. And then there was 3 years it was still under 4. It was a little bit more than that, but still you were under 4 for 3 years, which of course would be $1 per unit less than what we would lock people into. So that's.
All right, thank you.
I've got a comment to add.
Okay,
Larry, you can go first.
yeah, I just gonna point out, I did a little research, and NOPEC, which we've kind of talked about, is at $4.99 as a fixed rate for 12 months. So we're not too far out of the ballpark.
Larry Selenius, 123 North Walnut Street. Just a question. Are we obligated to deal with Tom Bellish? Or should we be
Well,
contacting gas companies on our own to see if we can do better than he can?
well, we're stuck with Archer. We've already signed a contract with them through March of '27. So it's not like we're going out and asking and getting bids from other companies. That's why I said we're at such a weak negotiating point. It's not like we can do something like that.
Well, looking ahead, preparing for March 27, we should probably be going around him as well as through him.
Well,
Your
that's,
offers.
it's something that council can consider when this contract ends.
In the meantime, I try to look at the positive. We were paying below $3 this month and last month on the variable rate. So if we can get the few months at that lower rate, I mean, it's very complicated to try to calculate the pluses and minuses to it, but I'm happy for the low month we had.
I think that there's some consideration to be had for like what is the gas company's position. So like right now they know what their functional operating costs are, what they're able to acquire, deliver, that kind of stuff in terms of how they can run their business. But just like us, they can't tell the future. Given that we've had all sorts of like hokey pokey tariff policies where they don't know what their cost of even buying replacement parts, maintenance things, all these other things, they don't know within the next 30, 60, 90 days what those costs might be because they are subject to change in a lot of different complicated trade policies. And I bet that they were offering us a hedged bet of a higher fixed rate because they don't know, but they're going to say, well, let's pad this to make sure that even if we do get out to 2027 for a commitment, we know that they know what our usage is. They know our histories and things like that. Even if you rent an apartment, you can ask and say, hey, what's the usage been last year for this amount of gas? So they have a lot of data on their side to make a decision and also to project what those costs might be and how much revenue they want to make from it. So what I think would be advantageous for the city's position right now is to take an approach where we go with the variable rate because right now they are able to offer gas cheaper than what they think their long-term guests would be. And right now, that's in our favor. However, I also think that it would be very wise for us to push communications out to our residents where if the variable rate gets sour, remember that we represent them first, not a gas company, and say, hey, if this, if our aggregation plan based on our variable rate's not working, you don't have to participate in it. And just like Cliff said, it's 4 steps, a click, and a postcard, which I don't think is too terribly complex for most people either. So if the rate becomes unfavorable, at least people can get off of it for the variable and lock in for 3, 6, 12 months for something that they find more palatable. If we go for a fixed rate, we're just guaranteeing a gas company profit and making them feel much more comfortable about their future returns in the next quarterly earnings report. So I think that it would be wise to go with the variable rate for the short term. And then if things change and we feel more comfortable about the market, like you said, we can request a fixed rate at any point. I say we sit on our options, but that's my opinion.
I am agreeing with your comments, and I have noticed, I haven't taken a survey, but I have noticed there's a small percentage of people in town that do not have internet available by their choice. I'll say so. Getting them a website should also get them a phone number. That way they have a choice.
Yeah, and I think if we really needed to, we could even push that out in the water bill, because if they are people on paper, I think that's something they might see. Or at least more likely to.
Yes.
Okay, well, what we have before, oh, I'm
Maybe
sorry.
as a comment, if you will. That's up to you.
That's all right.
Just
Larry's
real
pretty quick.
Personal experience, you said it was hard to get back into
It is.
our aggregation plan. When you join separately, they put you in a separate file. And when the city changes suppliers, they forget to move that file. So year after year, you will get dropped out of the aggregation plan over and over again. Just want you all to understand that.
Okay, so what we have tonight is an ordinance on second reading. We can leave it, continue this discussion and see where rates are a month from now. We could vote on it now, if anybody is willing. So the first question is, because, normally, state law says we're supposed to have 3 readings of every ordinance. But we do have the option with 5 votes to suspend all the readings. So unless there's a motion to suspend all the readings, then the normal course of action is just to leave it on for another reading at the 3rd, for next month. And then at that point, we'll have to take some sort of action.
At a later point, it also could be tabled to a finite period or an infinite
You
period.
could do that tonight too, if you wanted to.
I mean, I'm okay with moving forward just on a reading, and then we can still kind of assess as we go, but I feel that in the interest of, our constituents' gas bill pricing, we might end up tabling it for a longer period.
Okay. Unless I hear a motion to suspend the remaining reading, I'll move on in the agenda. Okay, I'm moving on. The next item is third reading of ordinances, which we don't have any. Old business, none listed. Does anybody have any old business on council they'd like to bring up?
One question for, regarding the easement parking. Did we ever come to a conclusion for what we were going to do for residents? Like the one gentleman that came in that had a very small frontage on his property, and, he was saying, do I have to pay every
One on
single year?
Cedar.
How about the tree lawn parking?
Yeah, tree lawn parking.
We had a meeting and we mulled over some ideas, and I don't think we've brought anything's been brought back, but I think, Mr. Harper, that's still under consideration.
It is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other old business? Do we have any new business?
I received a letter from Mrs. Rufner, Kathy Rufner, and I know in the past there were a couple of us from council, including Chelsea, that had helped with the First United Methodist Church Loaves of Fishes. And she has reached out to me multiple times on this, and she was here again at City Hall. I've been talking with her back and forth. So she did today, leave with Julie up front some dates for 2026 that are still open. And I would like to encourage council to possibly pick a couple of dates in the future to volunteer on a Saturday and help feed some of the people that do come there on a Saturday. Loaves and Fishes is a volunteer effort. They and then I do know in the past the police department had did that. Maybe the fire department, I don't know, but it is the only place on Saturdays that is open for people to eat where there is no food offered. So, because the Center Hope is closed. And what it is you know, the doors open at 10 a.m. And at about 11:25, you know, they get welcomed in, and you can either, they plan about 150 lunches. You also could do gift cards where you could donate money and have it enough for, like, each person get $10 of gift cards to, like, Taco Bell, because usually that's the cheapest place that provides a meal. So if you didn't want to go in and cook a lunch and serve a lunch, it's all takeout lunches. But it was really rewarding. I know Chelsea had a really good time when we did it, and we really saw a lot of senior citizens coming in, especially next door at the Etna House, and a lot of Ravenna residents. So I did say that I would bring this up to everyone tonight. So at a later date, I can have Chelsea email some dates out, and if this is something that council would like to do, or possibly know other groups to help some of these dates, these are some of the dates that they need filled, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Any other new business? Hearing none, we'll move on. The next item on the agenda is President of Council remarks. I don't have much or anything really prepared. I did want to take note that our own Chelsea Greger was elected to the Ohio Municipal Clerks Association recently. So in competition with other clerks across the state, she managed to find herself a seat on the board. And we're very proud of her for that. And I thank her for doing this, because sometimes, you know, we do get somewhat isolated in our own little bubble here in Ravenna. And I think she will tell you it's rewarding and eye-opening to see that not only do other communities have some of the same problems, but sometimes they have unique solutions to them. So we thank you for your continued service beyond our own council. All right, with that, I'll move on to council members' remarks. Let's start with Ms. Wood.
Nothing tonight.
Ms. West?
I just want to thank everyone for a great Halloween last Saturday. I know we are fun-filled on Saturday here in Ravenna. We had trick or treat from until noon, then the vendor, you know, everyone downtown from noon to 3, and then trick or treat at the houses from 3 to 5. That's a lot of candy. Our dentists in town, I'm sure, are very happy for that. But it was really nice. Everything went really smoothly. I know I helped out. I had so much fun just hanging out with the police department and watching them interact with all the kids that were coming in. We had a great time. But it's just nice to be able to see all the kids out having a good time, and it's just brings a nice light to our city. So,
Thank you. Dr. Kelfi?
No additional comments, thank you.
Mr. Moskin?
I just want to say I want to encourage Mr. Bundy on being acclimated, new position, even though he's used to doing it, but with your new ideas, new venture. So I believe it's going to be very good. You have quite an open mind and new adventures.
Thank you.
I'll leave it at that.
Mr. Maravich?
Continuing on with some of Amy's suggestions for trying to help out with local food banks, given that the federal government is still closed and a lot of appropriations haven't been made to fund different programs. Food banks are also going to start feeling this pretty badly. So if you are able to donate to any of the local food banks in this area, I recommend doing so, especially if you've got a pantry that's a little bit heftier than others that are less fortunate, since we're probably going to feel some of that constraint, as well as SNAP benefits not potentially being appropriated as well. So people might go hungry. Please consider donating.
Thank you. Ms. Michael?
Of course, I always have a lot of hot air to talk about, but these are positive. So one thing I want to acknowledge, I did send an email out to both chiefs, but another reminder of what amazing employees we have. I was coming home from working a 12-hour shift, and I was like second or third on a scene of a bad accident. And there were only 2 people there, and I noticed one of our firemen by the side of the car. And it ended up being in my cousin's front yard, of all places, that this happened. They didn't even know it was going on. And I saw it was one of our own firemen who was just off a shift. And so, I pulled in right away because I thought maybe he was in a car accident. But he was there first on the scene, helping the woman where the airbags were deployed and waiting until, the ambulance was in the process of being called at that time. So I pulled in because it was my family's address, and, I called them to let them know that what was going on, and ask if he needed any help. And, of course, he was right on ball, one of our own, working after his shift. And then by me standing on the side of the car with him, one of our police officers and his wife were just off duty on their way home, saw me and him standing behind the car, thought we were in a car accident. So they turned around, came back to assist. And it was like, but of course they stayed too, and to make sure everybody was okay. And his wife is a dispatcher here, and she made the phone call to call the other department, since it wasn't in the city, it was just outside the city limits. And so she's on the phone, knew the number right to call right away to get an officer there to take report. The woman was very, very lucky. Had a rock not been there, even though her car was totaled, she could have lost her life. And but it was just, another reminder of what good people we have in our community. And, they both just, I'm sure, got off a long shift and, stopped because they cared. And that goes a long way. So I did let all the chiefs know about what a good job they did, but it really spoke volumes to me in my heart, and I just want to say thank you. And the other thing was I was honored enough to do a pumpkin contest, and it was nice to see the morale in the dispatch. It was tough being the judge of it because all 3 were amazing, but it was great to see that Jolene, the dispatch supervisor, did this with her staff, and each shift had a pumpkin, and it was some really tough competition. So it was nice to see some of this going on within the departments, and especially, dispatch. I was in there for a while with them, and, again, it's a reminder of the stress and the calls that are coming in there, and how pleasant they are when, I was in there and just talking with them. So, a thank you to our safety forces, and the parks did a great job, as what Chris talked about. The Parks Department worked hard, and I just want to say it's always a good turnout for that. And when Christina and I were uptown, I saw something on Facebook where people were commenting on all the kids that were coming through and saying thank you. And I'm telling you, I was really shocked on the amount of kids, both coming through the drive-through and uptown. Everyone was saying thank you. And I was really impressed on the amount of children and the parents that made sure they said thank you. So that was really reassuring to hear that. So I was proud of them. So that's all. And remember to vote tomorrow, please. It's going to be a low turnout. Your vote matters, and we appreciate everybody getting out there to vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michael. Mr. Harper.
No, nothing further this evening. Just can't stop thinking about that poor goose.
I'm going to drive up there tonight to see if he's still there.
I hope they get him.
I will let you guys know as soon as that thing gets captured.
All right. The next item on the agenda is mayor's remarks. Mayor Seaman, what do you have for us tonight?
I'll keep it brief. I want to remind everyone Veterans Day is next Tuesday at 11 o'clock. There is a ceremony out in front of the courthouse. I always attend that and as an observer, but it's quite an emotional thing. That, and if you have time to be able, it is a day off for some people, that's a good place to be at 11 o'clock on that. I have some suggestions that I want to make to council. I need a little more time to get them in order, but having spent 25 years on the Board of Appeals, 14 years as a councilman, and 10 years up to this point as mayor. And when I complete the other 2 years that are left, that puts me over 50 years of contact and working with the city. I have some observations about that where I feel I need to present the council so that you can consider these things. And what I'm looking at is a long range. And I'm not looking at personalities with that. But there are issues that the more I've been thinking about this in the past couple of months, I do want to share them with council, but I want to get this finished the way it's appropriate. Because there's food for thought about what we're going to need to do to stay solid as a city. Right now, we're in a good spot. If things were more settled at the Washington level, I would rest a little easier, but that's not the case. But I would like a few minutes at another meeting to express what my thoughts are on that. Thank you.
Okay, well, not exactly sure what the nature of those recommendations are, but pick a committee and can you do it next Monday?
Yeah, I can do it then.
The other suggestion too, and not maybe for this time, but we have our department heads on rotation as far as coming in and sharing what's going on. I feel like the mayor should be included in that as well to give us an update with the department heads. He does, I know.
An update every meeting.
But to give like a really, to be able to talk about staffing or to be able to talk about, certainly he gives his updates here and there, but he's just as important as a department head to be able to share and kind of fill in with those, with that. So it gives a little more time for him.
Mayor Seaman, you're welcome at any meeting to give yourself some time to talk about these things. But it sounds like you want to introduce something for council action. And the normal procedure is to start with the committee.
I'll present it at the next committee meeting, a week from now.
Okay. We look forward to hearing it. Or them, I don't know, you sound like you have a few things on your mind.
Well, like I said, I'm looking deep into the future.
Well, we appreciate that. And having someone with such a vast past experience, can't think of anybody better to give us guidance for the future. So thank you for that. Do you have any other remarks for us?
No.
Okay. Then the next item on the agenda is our executive session, or executive sessions. Do you want to craft this as two separate motions, or just one motion with bundling them
Combine
both
it.
together?
Just one motion.
Okay.
Yes.
One with
Let's,
both.
let me start with what I recited earlier this evening. Is there a motion to enter executive session to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, since the premature disclosure of information regarding the purchase could give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personnel or personal private interest is adverse to the general public, and to also go into an executive session to discuss ongoing
Pending legal.
legal issues.
So move.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And for our guests tonight, we will still have that one agenda item, that one ordinance for potential discussion and potential vote following the executive session. You're welcome to stick around, but certainly not obligated to.